Hello, T-shirts, T-shiz, however you pronounce it. Here's another unboxing, this time of it's two-parter really, looking at Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1. Hidden Arsenal, I've had a little bit of experience with these sets, Hidden Arsenal 4 and 6 to be specific. I also have a few other cards from like Hidden Arsenal 1 from some job lots I got off eBay. The Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1 came out I think in March 2022, I think. Yeah, before we actually get to opening this bad boy, we're going to just go through the packaging quickly. This is the first edition. Dice inside, one of these 5 illustrated on the front. The box itself is kind of like similar to that of Ghosts from the Past Second Haunting, where it's like a lid with a base as well, which is pretty nice and neat. The cardboard feels pretty sturdy and shiny as well. It comes with a description of Hidden Arsenal and about the dual terminal arcade machines. The main unique selling point of this set is that this is, I think, the only set at the moment that was internationally released, which allowed players to get dual terminal cards. You put money in the machine and it would print out a card for you, and you could tell if it's a dual terminal card because it had dual terminal text just below the image, and it had a slightly different holographic effect for the commons and the ultras. So the cards in this set consist of those from the Hidden Arsenal set 1 through 4. You get staple cards like Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon. So yeah, each box contains 2 Hidden Arsenal booster packs, with each booster pack containing 18 cards. And as far as I know, the ratio is you get 3 ultras, 1 dual terminal common, which is different to regular common, which we'll get into I think shortly, and 14 commons. Oh, I forgot to mention that the ultra rares are dual terminal ultra rares, which as mentioned are slightly different to the regular ultras, just like how the dual terminal commons are different to the typical commons you get from other sets, including this one. Also, 1 of 7 secret rare variants. The main reason I picked this one specifically was because on the front, where the window is, it did display a certain secret rare, which you can't see anymore, but I did see it at the time of purchasing it, so that's the main reason why I got this very specific Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1 sealed pack. And lastly, as mentioned earlier, the one of several collectible dice, which is one of these 5 designs. Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron, who's going to be playing that? So yeah, let's do this. So it's got the Konami tape, which is why I got skizzers. On one end at least. Probably not the safest way to do it with scissors, but what the hey. So finally got it open, let's see. The lid is off. Hokey cokey. Let's see what dice we've got. Oh cool, I think that's Fabled. Those were an archetype common in Hidden Arsenal sets. I got tape on my finger. Yeah. Got the Yu-Gi-Oh! Logo. And yeah, one of the sides is Fabled. Can't remember at the top of my head. There's that weak Fabled that I think that's the one where if it's discarded from your hand, you can special summon it onto the field. I think that's the one, I can't remember the name of it. So that's cool. Got little dice, nice collectible dice. So yeah, let's get on with what secret rare we got. So yeah, as mentioned earlier, the reason why I bought this very specific Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1 box was because I saw the pile-armed dragon on the front. This very nice shiny secret rare. Let's open the pack. Kind of bent the card already, that's not good introduction to this card. So wow, this is a very shiny secret rare. So why pile-armed dragon? Well, I was looking online to see how they're valued, and out of the 7 secret variants, pile-armed dragon seemed to be the one that's most sought after and the most highly priced. I had a quick glance at the monster's description and it seemed to fit that sort of, accolade of being the most sought after secret rare of Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1. So Armed Dragon is an archetype that was originally about level modulation, similar to Silent Magician and Horus. That didn't quite work out so well. Levels monsters were just a bit too much hassle to get to the big boss monster, so it's good that Armed Dragon got some support so that you can bypass that tedious, progression system. So what does Pile Arm Dragon do? A very nice looking card do. Well, it has 2800 attack and 1000 defense. It's a wind dragon, so like Stardust Dragon. Okay, that's cool. So you can send one other wind dragon monster or one other level 7 or higher dragon monster from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. So instead of using 2 drip hits, you could just use 1. Or a brick in your hand. That's pretty cool, actually. You can send one armored dragon monster from your hand or deck into the graveyard, except Pile Armed Dragon. Then target one face-up monster you control. The target monster gains attack equal to the level of the monster sent to the graveyard by 300. Okay, so this actually makes more use of the level monsters if you really if you're that desperate to use armed dragon level monsters. You gain a significant boost from using the ones that aren't as good. I think, is it armed dragon level 10 is not so good, from what I remember. So you can gain a humongous attack for getting rid of it if you don't want that until the end of this turn as well. So that's okay. You hit really hard with this at the right time, really. You can only attack with one monster this turn if you do use this effect. Well, if you're going to hit extremely hard, like either directly or get rid of a major boss monster, I think that makes up for it, I suppose. To balance it out, Okay, so yeah, that's actually a pretty cool monster, yeah. Very cool artwork, and the ability to special summon itself pretty easily and give a significant potential attack buff to the monster you got rid of to another monster is pretty cool. So it's quite versatile for what it is, yeah. I like it. Nice secret rare to add to my collection. Sweet. So as you can imagine, for booster packs with like 18 cards in each, they're pretty bulky and heavy. No real surprise there. Oh, and it actually shows you the rarity ratio in the back. So yeah, as mentioned, 3 dual terminal ultra rare cards, 1 dual terminal style common card, and 14 standard commons. Oh yeah, and one more thing, stuck in the base of the lid, we get a nice sort of backstory leaflet. Like for example, we get a bit more story about, I won't go through all the text, there's so much text on this. Information about ice barriers, a long-running archetype, which I have a few cards of. I think I've got this one, both of these generals hollow, secret rares I think. And on the other side we have Flamevels, or Flamvels, however you pronounce it. Don't have many cards of those. Naturia, and with these nice sort of cutesy artwork. We got information about Ally of Justice cards too. Some brief paragraphs about, well not brief, they're quite big paragraphs of X-Sabers, Gen X, Worms, Jirax. Basically all the archetypes that are in this set. So that's a nice little collectible, sort of maybe a poster. Oh no, it's a bit wordy for a poster, so okay, enough of that. Let's get to the first booster pack out of 2. Alright, let's have a look. Okay, so at least we don't get the ultra right at the gate, build up to it by starting with the commons, like Cryomancer of the Ice Barrier. Okay, Aqua Tuner, okay, that's cool, so Synchro potential. Water Aqua, makes a lot of sense. Okay, when you control another Ice Barrier monster, level 4 or higher monsters cannot declare an attack. So it's kind of a little bit like Gravity Bind, in a way, preventing certain monster levels from attacking. Okay, Ice Barriers, got a few of them, they're not quite my thing, but their range of effects and such. This one can be fine at locking out your opponent and preventing them from attacking, but reliance on having a monster in the field. 1300 attack though is not bad for level 2, quite high actually. Spellbreaker of the Ice Barrier. Water Spellcaster, not the most common of combinations. Giant Soldier of Stone stats, but that was level 3, this is level 4. Once per turn you can send one Ice Barrier monster from your hand to your graveyard. Neither player can activate spell cards until the end of the next turn. It's a way of locking out, preventing your opponent from using spell cards, but then again you can't either. So while this monster's face up on the field. So I guess you're playing this in defense, hope they attack into it, and then you can get rid of one of your Ice Barrier monsters in your hand to prevent your opponent from using spells. And there's quite a few spells that you probably want to get to prevent your opponent from using, like a Lightning Storm and Monster Reborns and even Raigeki to some extent. So yeah, okay, so it's kind of similar to Cryomancy, but for spells. Oh, I've already got this card, but as a secret rare, but now I've got as a common with General Grunard, the Ice Barrier. This basically allows you to normal summon twice, as long as it's an Ice Barrier monster, and it's only once per turn. Its attack is not too bad for a level 8, But yeah, doing 2 normal summons instead of having to use that, I think it's a trap card. No, I think it's a spell card. Double summon, I think it's called. Or maybe I'm thinking, basically there's already a spell/trap card that does something similar. But I guess you're playing an Ice Barrier deck anyway with this, so an extra normal summon prevents, them from getting destroyed by cards that destroy special summon monsters, which there's quite a few of, I think. Flamevel Baby. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one fire monster you control. That target gains 400 attack. Kind of an underwhelming effect. You can use spells and traps to achieve similar, but without, having it to be specifically a fire monster. But hey, I guess it's not a quick effect though, so unless, this was before they added those quick effect things. 800 attack is pretty good for level 1 though. But yeah, that effect is kind of underwhelming. But at least it's a tuner, so I guess you're just using it for that, for synchro summoning. Strategist of the Ice Barrier. So many Ice Barriers in this one. 1600 both attack and defense. For level 4, that's fine. Water Spellcaster as well. Okay, so basically you can send 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand to your graveyard to draw a card. So you're kind of breaking even. Kind of like a Jar of Greed thing going on, but slightly quicker. But with those stats, it probably won't last very long. Neo Flamevel Origin. If you control a Flamevel monster, except Neo Flamevel Origin, and your opponent has 3 or less cards in their graveyard, you can specially summon this card from your hand. So its stats aren't quite as good as Flamevel Baby, but it's also a tuner, but it has, I guess, the advantage of, being able to play it straight onto the field if you manage to get this in the early game during your turn. So, nice little early, easy resource, but requiring a Flamevel monster, which I guess if you're playing a Flamevel deck, it doesn't matter too much. But the fact that your opponent has to have a very small graveyard means you've got to take advantage of this very early in the game, and if you don't, it's not great. A little bit underwhelming, and these conditions, I think, don't help much. I heard this is quite a classic synchro monster. Yugioh Guardian, probably one of the early ones, isn't it? And isn't it I don't think it's ever been a common. I think it's always been like a super or ultra rare or something like that. Warrior Synchro Earth Warrior, okay. 2800 attack and 2000 defense. Those are really good stats for level 6. But the fact you use 2 tributes, at the very least 2 tributes anyway, that's still fine, but it has a good effect, I think. When this card destroys an opponent's monster of a battle and sends it to graveyard, you special summon that monster to your field in defense position. Okay, so you're basically stealing your opponent's monster instead of destroying it. Okay, as long as that opponent's monster is sent to the graveyard, you could just bring it back and use that as probably, tribute fodder and that. So yeah, wow, it's no wonder why this card is a quite popular synchro monster in the earlier years of when synchro summoning was a thing. The early years of synchro summoning. So yeah, no surprise there, and I got one. Wow, you can definitely notice the difference between a regular common and this dual terminal common. The really nice sparkly confetti-like holographic effect across the entire card. And that's a dual terminal common in a nutshell. It's common, but with this nice glittery effect. Really funky. Ally of Justice Searcher. I forgot to mention as well, I think any of the commons in the Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1 set can also be a dual terminal common, and I just happen to have the Ally of Justice card. So Searcher, Dark Machine, not bad typing I guess. Once per turn you could discard 1 card, then target 1 face down defense position monster your opponent controls. Change that target to face up defense position. I guess you're doing that so that, you can beat into a monster that's playing too defensively, or a monster that has a really high defense. And that's a good thing, flip monster effects are not activated, which can really shut down some decks that have flip effects. So yeah, I really like this, it's a very pretty effect. I've never seen a dual terminal common before, and the fact I have at least one now is cool. Sweet. Wow, I got a dual terminal ultra Red Eyes Black Dragon. Funny enough, I don't actually have a Red Eyes Black Dragon yet. So yeah, everyone knows this card. And not only is it an ultra, it's a dual terminal ultra, which is an ultra rare, but within this, similar to the dual terminal common, it has this nice sparkly glitter ball effect. And it's using this newer artwork as well. It's not using the original one, like in the starter deck Joey version. Wow, that's really pretty. But we're not stopping there. Another dual terminal ultra, and this one is Naturia Bamboo Shoot. I've got a couple of Naturias as well, Naturia Strawberry and Naturia Pineapple. This one looks pretty cute. 2000 attack and defense, level 5, which is, well, this is better than Curse of Dragon, that's for sure. While you control this face-up card that was tribute summoned by tributing a Naturia monster, your opponent can activate spell trap cards. That's actually really good. You're bound to have loads of Naturias in your deck, in a Naturia deck. It's a tribute summon as well, so it's not when it's special summon. So, okay, so you don't have to worry about any like special, any effects that involve special summon. So you're actually incentivized to use tribute summoning, basically to prevent your opponent from using all sorts of, traps and spells like Lightning Storm and shut down archetypes like Liches that rely on like those trap monsters. It should be able to do that for at least a couple turns. This stat's actually not too bad for level 5, so yeah. Wow, that's really pretty. Really pretty indeed. Next we got Dual Terminal Ultra Rare Card Trooper. It's an Earth Machine. This one actually is quite old, isn't it? I think I remember Yugi using it in the anime, like near the end of the original anime season. So you could choose a number from 1 to 3, then send that many cards from the top of your deck to your graveyard. This card gains 500 for each. So for level 3, that means it's got pretty high attack stat until the end of the turn. And if this card controls destroying center. So if it dies, you get to draw a card. So it's basically it's a little bit like a Skelengel, but you don't have to flip it, which is cool. And being able to send that many cards to the graveyard can be an advantage. Like if you send a high level monster, you can find a way to bring it back when Monster Reborn. So, wow, pretty awesome card with some pretty awesome shiny artwork. And this is a really good booster. Fabled Urustos, Light Fiend. Oh, Fiends are usually dark, so that's a little bit different. 1500 attack is not good for level 4. 200 is abysmal for 4. While you have 2 or less cards in your hand, all face-up Fabled monsters you control gain 400. Well, Fableds benefit from being discarded, so that shouldn't be too difficult to do. But I imagine this is most achievable near the end of a game, after a few turns where you have fuck all in your hand. But with Fableds, it makes a lot of sense, and it fits the archetype if I recall, because Fableds do benefit from having less cards in your hand by discarding them. Well, they're all about discarding them, aren't they? So, yeah, a fitting effect, but not one that's not great, but mainly because not being able to do it early in the game, having to wait a little bit later, or milking the hell out of the fabled effects in your hand. So, okay. Alright, we have Naturia Leodrake, a level 9 synchro monster with no effect. 3000 attack for level 9, not great. 2 monsters for a synchro with no effect and 3000 attack. Sounds pretty bad to me. And its defense its 1800 defense, which is kind of mediocre for level 9, doesn't help. So yeah, this card's, in my opinion, is not very good at all. Don't bother with that one. Oh, this one's cute. Naturia Ladybug, level 1 monster, Earth Insect, attack and defense 100. When you synchro summon a Natura monster like Leodrake, even though you probably won't use Leodrake, you would use something better, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. So just by synchro summoning, you gain another resource onto the field. That's cool. During the main phase, you contribute this card, then target one Natura monster you control. It gains 1000 attack until the end of the turn. So okay, you give another Natura monster a nice little beefy boost until the end of the turn to their attack. And Natura, I think, does need that kind of thing to be more viable, because I think Naturas are, generally speaking, have on average very low stats for what they are, unless they're fusions or synchros Natura monsters. So yeah, it could be kind of handy. It's not a quick effect though, but I think it's something that I think could be handy for some Natura monsters. Fabled Valkyrus, level 8 synchro monster. It's a light fiend as well. Are all Fableds light? I don't think they are. I think some of them are dark. This requires 1 Fabled Tuner and 1 non-tuner monster, or at least 1 non-tuner monster. Once per turn, you could discard 1 fiend monster, draw a card. So getting rid of one and the other, but this works especially well for Fableds. As mentioned before, they benefit from being discarded, so will actually work very well for Fableds, so that makes sense. 2900 attack is okay for level 8 as well. Not quite blue eyes, but passable. 1700 defense, well, you're not really going to be using this to play in defense position. So yeah, I like the card artwork. It's got those little imps in the back that Fable monster I was talking about earlier. So this is actually not bad, and an effect that, whilst sounds underwhelming with some cards, actually can be a pretty big benefit for the archetype it belongs to. Fabled Kushano. Another light fiend, level 3, 1100 attack and 800 defense, which is okay for level 3. If this card is in your graveyard, you could discard 1 Fabled monster to the graveyard, except Fabled Kushano. Add this card to your hand. Okay, so you're gaining an effect of a monster you discard, and doing so you haven't really lost anything because you're bringing this back. And it's a tuner as well, so that could work well with that synchro monster we just looked at earlier. So yeah, this one's not bad actually, not bad at all. Naturias are so cute, aren't they? Naturias Spiderfang. I'm not a fan of spiders, so the fact they made it adorable is a real talent of theirs. So I kind of take it back about Naturias being generally weak statted, because this one has 2100 attack for a level 4 monster, which is good. It's really good. Low defense though, but not playing this in defense anyway. An earth insect that cannot declare an attack unless your opponent activated a card or effect this turn. So it's kind of like a little bit of a floodgate-ish effect, like deter your opponent from activating cards in effect, because if they do, then during your turn, beat you up with this. But unfortunately, there are cards that have similar stats which don't have any drawback, especially normal monsters. It's a bit of a drawback for a card with good attack, but not good enough to justify that hindrance, really. Fabled Cruse, monster with 1000 attack and 800 defense. Not bad for level 2, not bad at all. If this card is discarded to the graveyard, target one of the level 4 lower Fabled monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. Again, another pretty good effect, which reduces the amount of loss, because if this goes away, if this is discarded, you get something back straight onto the field. So, yeah. Okay, this is our second pack of this box. Okay, here goes nothing. Ally of Justice Gyarados, a dark machine, cool typing. If this card battles a light monster, it gains 200 attack during the damage step only. With 1600 attack though, that means it has passable attack, so it could have won a bit better off if its basic attack stat was slightly higher. If it does take advantage of this effect, then it's 1800, which isn't amazing, not bad, just kind of like the standard for level 4 monsters in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Nothing great. Hello, a common elemental here in Neos. Not much to say about this, such an iconic monster, and one with lots of potential due to the numerous fusion monsters you can make out of this thing. Warlock of the Ice Barrier. I already have this card, I think in Super, Ultra, whatever other rarities it comes in. Yeah, you can't set spell cards before activating them whilst this is face up. Well, no, while you control another Ice Barrier monster. So not this one. And it can't be activated until their next turn. So it's a bit like the other Ice Barrier monster we talked about earlier in the video, where it's kind of like a little bit of a spell trap floodgate, but a reliance on monsters on the field. Stats aren't great, 1000 defense isn't going to take you far, but it could work if you're overflowing with Ice Barriers on your field. But they're just going to destroy this, and then it's not going to have much more of an impact. Hey, Winged Grebo, another iconic Yu-Gi-Oh! GX monster, and Jaden Yuki's sort of sidekick, spiritual sidekick. So yeah, if this card's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, for the rest of the turn you take no bad damage. So it's a Wapaku with a body. Who can hate Winged Grebo, really? It's nice also to know that Grebo has been getting a lot of support over the last couple of years. Ally of Justice Cosmic Gateway, a level 8 Dark Machine, yet again cool. 2400 attack and 1200 defense. Not great stats for a level 8, but if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, including a light monster, you can special summon this card. So yeah, I guess in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, your opponent will likely have at least 2 monsters on the field, and you just gotta hope that one of them is light, otherwise this is basically a body, that over-leveled body basically. Meh. What can I say about enemy control? It's been used a few times in the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! By series, I mean like the first iteration of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. Either change a battle position of monster, or you contribute monster to take control of it until the end of the turn. Until the end of that turn that you activate the card. I think Brain Control and Change of Heart, which actually went from being banned to limited recently, as of this video anyway. So yeah, enemy control, you're not reusing this over the 2 cards I just mentioned. Mist Valley Soldier, a winged beast. At the end of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster that was not destroyed, Return that opponent's monster to your hand. You must control its face up to activate and resolve its effect. Which I guess you're doing anyway because its attack is fine. You're not playing this in defense, I mean 300 defense really. If this attacks a really big boss monster, that can be pretty irritating for them. Is it worth risking that many life points? Well, it depends yet again on how big a monster that is, and hoping that that monster you attacked into also doesn't have any effects that can prevent that bouncing from happening. So yeah, a risky card I think. And here's our second dual terminal common, a Naturia Ragweed. A level 3 monster with 1200 attack and an impressive 2000 defense. When your opponent draws a card, except during the draw phase or damage step, you can send this card from the field to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. So like if they somehow manage to draw 2 cards from an effect, like one of those dragon spell cards that allow you to get rid of a dragon in order to draw 2 cards, then you gain a bonus from it, a nice little bonus. There's no once per turn clause from what I can see, so if you send this to the graveyard and somehow manage to bring it back in some way, you got to work around it too much, too much resources in that to do that, so you might be able to do it once but not much more, so yeah. An ultra rare mystical space typhoon, a very iconic card that sees a bit of play even to this day. So yeah, it's very simple. Target one spell or trap card in the field, destroy that target. But it doesn't negate the effect of that spell or trap either. It doesn't negate and destroy, it just destroys. So this is great for set traps or continuous spells, but not too much else, but it's still a good card. I like that. I got a shiny. Oh boy, yes. I've got one Blue Eyes, now I got another. The other Blue Eyes I got is the starter deck Kaiba one with that goofy artwork, and now I've got a second one with the alternative artwork from the newer sets. And I don't think this card needs any more of it doesn't need an introduction really. It's such a popular monster that even if you've never heard of, even if you've never watched the anime or played the card game, chances are you've heard of Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's that important of a monster for Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's no wonder it's so popular that it gained a shit ton of support over the last few years. Wow. Blue Eyes White Dragon, shit me. Yeah, it wasn't really going to top that because Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eyes Black Dragon, and then we got one more obscure monster, Mist Worm. A Wind Thunder. So it's level 9 synchro monster with 2500 attack and 1500 defense. Not great stats for that level monster, and the fact it needs 3 monsters to play it at the very least. That's quite a big ask, but I bet its effect is good. Let's see. If this card is synchro summoned, okay, so basically playing this thing, it does something. Target up to 3 cards your opponent controls, return them to the hand. Wow, that's a lot of cards just returning to your opponent's hand. And I guess some opponents would rather have them in the graveyard or even in the deck instead of your hand, because it's any cards, it's not specific to monsters, this effect. So if they have a really high level monster and you bounce them back, then you've got to go through tributes or find a workaround to get them back on. It's a bit of an annoyance. Like if you bounce back a fusion or XYZ, that doesn't go to your hand, does it? It goes to the extra deck, I think. I could be wrong on that. But having to use 3 monsters to do that, is it really worth it? Can be. I mean, if your opponent has a really elaborate board going, this is a pretty big disruption to their plays, potentially. So, yeah, quite a high cost, but with an effect that can be pretty irritating. So, yeah, as long as it's used on big body monsters, maybe even trap cards as well. Naturia Tulip, a earth plant, level 2 monster with 600 attack and 1500 defense. Each time your opponent activates a spell trap card for the rest of the turn, all Naturia monsters you control will gain 500 attack. So yeah, it's only temporary, it's only until the rest of the turn when your opponent activates any spell trap card, which is nice and broad. Aside from maybe a couple of other Naturia monsters, like the one we showed that had the Spider Fang one, which had a really high attack. That was probably an exception because a lot of Naturia monsters don't have amazing stats. So that power boost can be handy. However, that's assuming that you'll probably benefit this most if it's on your turn, because it deters like the opponent from playing spells or traps as well, to counter any of your moves. And if it's your opponent's turn, they could probably find a way to work around it because they have more options and stuff. So yeah, okay, nice little overall boost. Drag Unity Knight Guy Dirg, whatever it's called. Wind Dragon, Stardust Dragon typing. It's level 6, 2400 attack, 800 defense. Not bad for level 6, but it requires 2 tributes at the very least. And it's got to be 1 dragon tuner and 1 non-tuner winged beast monster. A little bit awkward, but then again, Drag Unities are mostly dragons. I think it's the winged beast part that's a little bit annoying because winged beasts aren't the most common type of monster in the game. Once per turn, you can add 1 level 4 or lower dragon or winged beast monster, so Drag Unities of course, from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 dragon or winged beast monster. So you're not getting too much of an advantage because you're gaining 1 card and then getting rid of another. But yet again, it's not specific about what level monster you have to discard. So there's certainly ways you can take advantage of this. So it's alright. Drag Unity Corseska. Level 1, 800 attack, 700 defense. Good. That's really good stats for level 1. Maybe it has a detriment. And there's also a tuner. Nice. When a monster equipped with this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add 1 level 4 level monster from your deck to your hand with the same type and attribute as a monster this card is equipped to. So it acts as a union monster, and whilst it is attached to that monster, you get more resources. But the fact they have to be the same type and attribute, I guess that's not too much of a problem with Drag Unities. They're mostly dragons, and I assume 9 out of 10 Drag Unities are also wind. That's fine. It's fine. Not too bad. Naturia Mantis. Not bad stats for level 4, 1700 and 1500. When your opponent normal summons a monster, you can send 1 nature monster from your hand to the graveyard, destroy that summoned monster. So I guess this is to counter out normal summons, but most of the time will be special summons, so this will be handy very occasionally. And the fact that to destroy a monster you have to get rid of 1 of your own from your hand, and it has to be Naturia, kind of go neutral-ish, and the normal summon part has a bit of a niche, but as said, special summon is the way to go, so yeah, probably better if it was a special summon monster. Naturia White Oak. Level 4, 1800 attack and 1400 defense. For a tree, that's kind of surprising stats, because I thought it would be the opposite. I thought it would be higher defense and attack, but hey, nice little surprise. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card, quick effect. You can send this card from the field to the graveyard and special summon 2 level 4 lower Naturia monsters from your deck, but they cannot declare an attack, also destroy them during your end phase. So it only does it if it targets this card, so it can't be like a wide destruction card like a Dark Hole Raigeki. So I guess this is to negate an opponent's effect, because if it targets this card but you tribute it, then it won't work because this target's gone. So how can that effect activate if the target disappears? So okay, so it's a little bit like a negate, and you gain some resources, and I guess you can tribute them as well, like during your turn. Like if your opponent activates the effect during your turn, which is probable, not often, but probable. And I guess not declaring an attack isn't a big deal because Naturia's attack stats aren't great anyway. I think there's a couple of exceptions as shown today. Also, unless you're playing a Naturia Fusion or Synchro Monster, which have better stats. Okay, interesting card. Dragunity Brandistock. Level 1, 600 attack, 400 defense. When this card is equipped to a monster, that monster can make a second attack during each battle phase. And it's not once per turn either, so if you somehow lose this boy, and it goes to the graveyard, and you bring it back somehow and equip it again, the monster equipped with this monster can attack multiple times. A bit of a hassle to do that, but possible, so interesting idea. And we end with a duplicate, Fabled Cruise. We've already talked about the card. Got a very Ring vibe to it, so yeah. So overall, yeah, I'm very satisfied with this collection of cards. Yeah, a lot of Drag Unities, a lot of Naturias, some underwhelming cards like that Leo Drake Synchro. By far the highlight for me is the ultra rare dual terminal Blue Eyes White Dragon. Such a iconic card, been a part of many people's childhoods, and even though I already have Blue Eyes White Dragon, I don't have the one with this artwork, and it's so nice and pretty and cool. Same goes for Mystical Space Typhoon, iconic card. I got another one, but high rarity, that's cool. And Pollard Dragon, secret rare, doesn't hurt either. Nice secret variant there. Oh yeah, and of course who could forget Red Eyes Black Dragon as well. Blue Eyes is not as strong cousin, but still beloved by many. And the other ultra rares as well. Card Trooper is also nice. Pull as well. So yeah, that pretty much summarizes my opening of Hidden Arsenal Chapter 2. Sorry, Chapter 1. We're not that far ahead yet. Cool dice, cool little leaflet with all sorts of information about the lore of all of these archetypes, and a bunch of really good cards. That'll certainly be nice additions to my ever-growing collection. But we're not quite done yet. Even though it's the end of this video, this one's actually part 1. The next and final part, part 2, we're opening yet another Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1 sealed pack. Yep, 2. Yes, stick around on my channel, keep checking here and there. Hopefully more duplicates, but hopefully some really good pulls as well. Part 2 will be coming pretty soon after this one. So yeah, thanks for watching, and if you didn't watch, then I feel very sorry for you. So thank you, and bye.